So yeah, like I was saying, back in like the 40s or the 60s, even Ford, they created a car out of hemp. They made a car out of hemp and ran it on hemp oil. Yeah? Because even at one point, in certain places in the world, America and certain other places, it was actually a law that if you had a farm and certain other land and whatever else, you had to grow hemp. Because they used it for paper, for textiles, for clothing, for all sorts of stuff, you know? So yeah, they knew that this was possible. But these people, these oil families, and oil tycoons and shit, they didn't want that because they wanted to make profits. They wanted to make huge amounts of money off of this natural resource thing that they found in the ground that they know they could use to run, you know, could use petroleum to make petrol and other things, you know, instead. So they could make shitloads of money.
No,
and that's what they did. And they knew what the repercussions could be of using this substance, you know. All along, we could have used water. Plenty of people that have done it, and you know what happened when they did it? They mysteriously disappeared, funny enough. But yeah, they could run cars off of water, off, like I said, hemp oil, all these different things that they experimented with in the past that were a success, but still they chose to go down a route that would be detrimental to society and nature and people. So, yeah. It is what it is again. It's like capitalism. It's capitalism at its finest, you know. So, but yeah, going back to being unique, I'm a big believer in that. I've like ever since I was young, for some reason, I remember even being young. I remember even telling my family that, like, I remember even doing certain things like growing up. Like, I remember even remember when I first started like doing music and stuff like that. I was like said to my mum, like, you know, I know, you know, there's a lot of people out there that do music and shit and do certain other things, and it's just like, but I know this is what I'm supposed to do. If you see what I mean. I always knew from a young age, from a certain age, that kind of who I was and kind of what I wanted to do and what kind of really like inspired me and made me happy and what I was passionate about, and you know, so yeah, I've always known that I was a bit different anyway too, like my way of thinking. I used to always question shit, if you see what I mean, from a young age. I used to always ask questions about everything, you know. I was always curious, always inquisitive, always wanted to gain more and more knowledge, if you see what I mean. I was really had a thirst for knowledge for, you know, all throughout my life, even up until this point, you know. So yeah, you know, I've always been different in lots of aspects, like a lot of people are, you know. We're all different and unique, you know, in different ways, you know. But I've always known that ever since I was young. I identified that at a young age. I was quite happy to be different. I didn't want to think like everyone else. I did want to be different, you know. I didn't want to be on the same vibe that everyone else was on. I just wanted to be on my own vibe, and you know, I want to, you know, do my own thing, and you know, not like we said earlier, not being a follower but being a leader, you know. So thinking for yourself, you know.
I've always been a bit of a loner,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And in my childhood, I mean, I think it was sort of when I was about 10 or 11, I went to live with my mum. She just got her first council house, and she got this flat, and it's 3 stories high, whatever, but down the bottom of it there was a little shed that she got, and she gave it to me.
Okay.
And my brother, but my brother didn't want it, you know.
Yeah.
And I used to have different groups in there, basically, but I always used to be the leader of each group, do you know what I mean? You know, one year we would sort of like be a gangster group or something, you know, but we were only kids playing, do you know what I mean? You know, but I used to sort of like be a bit of a leader, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I used to be a bit different, you know, because like I might have said previously, I didn't like school for one, do you know what I mean? I was sort of boy that liked really being in the garden, looking at all the insects and exploring, do you know what I mean? That kind of boy, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you go to school, you're not allowed to do that anymore, do you know what I mean? You get like a break, which is sort of 3 minutes where you can play, and then you've got to do what you're told again. Do you know what I mean? And I couldn't wait to get out. You know, and I think that's not making people individual at all. You know, and I think that's the problem. You know, like
you lining up, or everyone lining up.
Yeah, you know, they're trying to make people the same a bit. You know, and that's wrong. You know, I think like at schools there should be a lot more arts classes. That's very important. I think art is very more important than other subjects, if you ask me. You know, because that's where you're using your imagination. You know, or singing, or music, maybe. You know, it's where you're using your imagination a lot. You know, I mean, with maths, you have to use your imagination. Okay, but you're thinking about numbers, for goodness sake. Do you know what I mean? You're not thinking about flowers or anything. Do you know what I mean? You know, so I'd much rather think about flowers and colourful stuff and rainbows than numbers and all that kind of stuff, if you sort of mean. You know.
Yeah.
I think like you got, you know, to be a free thinker, you got to be free with your imagination. I think, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you think like if you were put in prison, if I was put in prison right now, you know, I'm nearly 60, I was put in a cell, what's the difference with a cell and this room?
Yeah,
Right. The windows, you know, there's no difference apart from your attitude of where you've been put. You know, I mean, if I was put in a box in prison now, I wouldn't be so happy because I wouldn't be going for a walk anymore, do you know what I mean, like I normally do, do you know what I mean? You know, so it does change things a bit, but, you know, you still got your past memories exactly the same as you did, you know, if you did get locked up, do you know what I mean? Your imagination's with you no matter what. You know, even if you're put in prison, really, they can't take your imagination away from you unless they kill you. Basically. You know, they can tie you up, you know, whatever. Okay, but you can still dream. If you sort of mean.
You can still, you can still kind of, like you said, use your imagination to.
Yeah, you can pretend, you can dream that you're not in prison. You know.
It's up to you. It's your mindset, your state of mind. You know, your mentality. You know, if you choose to stay positive, it would be a little bit easier for you if you're in that type of environment. You know, because it is very hard for a lot of people in there to become depressed and unhappy and be full of anger and hate and resentment and you know, and then that only leads to more negativity. You know. So I think it's good if you're in that if you're in that kind of unfortunate situation, then it is best to try and stay as positive as possible, you know, and just try to take each day at a time, and and not to and also to be able to forgive yourself for your past mistakes. If you've done something really bad that's resulted in you becoming incarcerated or imprisoned or something, and you made a mistake, then you know. I think it's also important to eventually, if you have moved on and you have become a better person and you have matured and you know you acknowledge your wrongs and you're trying to be a better person and to, you know, not to make similar mistakes ever again, then I think it's important to try to forgive yourself for your mistakes. You know, don't beat yourself up all of your life for, you know, things that have happened in the past. You know, you have to move on at some point. You know, for your own happiness. You know. For your own happiness and your own, you know, mental well-being, it's important to, you know, to move on and stay positive and keep going. You know, we've all got different chapters of life. Life is like a book. Like, you know, I like that analogy. You know, life is like a book. There's many different chapters of life. You know, and you know, we all have different chapters. You know. Different things that happen in different chapters of our lives, you know.
My book's a bit bigger than yours, isn't it?
Yeah, longer, because
you know, like,
he's got more pages in his book.
Your book's about that big.
Yeah.
And my book's about that big, if you see what I mean. I think like each day, you know.
More pages.
Well, each day is a page, basically, isn't it?
I would say you've probably got you've probably got about 500 pages.
Yeah.
And I've probably got about 250.
Yeah. Like one page of mine it's the same with the page as you got married.
Yeah,
You know, and you had a nice page. I mean, I had that
both
page.
got kids, both had kids.
Yeah, you got a daughter, and I got a son and a daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and they're about the same age. And well, you know, yours is a lot younger than mine, obviously.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
They got the same age difference. You know.
Yeah, same, both 5 years apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so we, you know, got the same kind of experiences in a little way.
In some ways, yeah.
In some way.
Yeah.
You know, and we were both born. That's another page.
Yeah.
You know, that's the same. In a kind of way, I think every birth is almost the same. You know, I don't care who you look at. You know, like I think like everyone experiences the same moment as the same. You know, we can't remember it basically, can we? When we were born,
yeah.
If you see what I mean. You know.
Yeah, I was gonna say the earliest memory I've got is when I was about 3. I mean, no, younger than that. I must have been about 2, because we moved to the Caribbean when I was 3. Or 2.5, 3. And the earliest memory I've got is, I think I've said it before, so I won't go into great detail, but I remember running and jumping on my parents' bed. It was Christmas, I think, when I was about 2 years old.
You were excited.
I was excited, you know, even though I was 2. I remember being, you know, and that was the earliest memory. That's the earliest thing that I can remember. You see what I mean?
I'll tell my memory.
Yeah.
My earliest memory is I was about 3.
Yeah.
And I can remember being in the car with little bars like that.
Yeah.
And I can remember my brother coming in with this gun.
Yeah.
Right, and it was one of these spark guns that let out sparks. Like that, and it was a plastic thing. And I think they were only just coming out about that time, do you know what I mean? It was a new thing. And I can remember it sort of like sparking at me, you know. It's one of these sort of things that will light up your hair.
Yeah.
I mean, quite dangerous, you know. They banned
Make
them.
your hair stand up. Yeah.
They banned them. Like,
Yeah.
You know, they're like fireworks, little sparks coming out, you know.
Yeah.
But I can remember it just making me scream my head off, you know. Like you know, I thought he's coming to kill me, you know, whatever, you know. But that's my first memory, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Life.
But
It's a wonderful thing.
what makes someone unique, you know, it's not being like everyone else, isn't it?
That's
you
it.
know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I used to drink, I don't drink anymore. You know what I mean? I've given that one up. So
Yeah, same.
I think a lot of people drink these days, don't they?
Yeah, a lot of people still drink, you know, a lot of people do drink, you know, but like you said, I'm the same though. I don't drink. I might have a drink once or twice a year,
Yeah.
to be very honest.
Yeah, just once a year on our birthdays.
Once or twice, to be very honest
It's
with you.
just a small one, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
At the absolute maximum 3 times a year. And even those 3 times, it's only like 2 beers. Or a bottle of Magnum and a Red Bull. Like, and that's it. You know? Because, you know, it's just, we both personally believe that that's just not the best thing for us. If you see what I mean, as human beings. You know what I mean? But people are free to indulge in what they want to indulge in. You know, we're all different, we're all individual, you know. But me and my mate, we share the same opinion on that. You know, that alcohol is really just not that good for you.
Well, I think you're more likely to make more mistakes in life if you drink.
Well, not only that, but your health, mate, your health. You know?
Mm.
People don't realise the health implications of drinking all the time.
So you're medicated.
I know some people say, oh, you're a hypocrite because you smoke. And maybe, because I do smoke. But at the end of the day, I think personally alcohol's worse in some ways, you know? Personally. It's my personal opinion. Just based on what I've lived, just based on my life experience and what I've seen and encountered and seen people on alcohol and how they behave and etc.
Well, families break up because of it, and I'm not joking you.
Well,
my family did.
Unfortunately,
You know, my mum and dad.
My stepfather at the time, like I said, I moved to the Caribbean because my mum met my stepfather at the time. And I remember being very young, and unfortunately one of my earliest memories, being about 3 years old, 3.5, was my stepfather at the time being absolutely pissed out of his head, and we were outside the house, and him and my mum were inside, and him and my mum got in a fight, and he decided he was going to beat my mum up, even though he's 6'1" and huge, you know, very muscular, and she was about 5'4", £20 maybe, most. And yeah, that was under the influence of alcohol. He was never generally like that. But when he got pissed, when he went out and drank the rum, went out and got drunk. Usually it was rum that made him the worst, behaved the worst. But when he'd go out and drink loads of rum punch, then come home pissed as anything, he would be physically abusive. And I remember being young and obviously seeing that and listening to it more so as well, being hidden away from it, trying to be protected from it, and but you still hear it, what's going on. You're not stupid, even though you might be free. You still got some kind of understanding of what's happening, what's going on. When you hear people screaming and and what's going on, naturally you already know something's wrong. You intrinsically know something's wrong, intuitively, so yeah.
Yeah, I think like drink does a lot of damage to society itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Like I say, my dad was he loved drink so much that he wasn't really loving his children anymore. Do you know what I mean? That's that. So I think some people don't even have children, alright? So okay, drink or whatever, but I think when it comes to children, I think people should drink, really, because they should be responsible for their children, if you see what I mean. So my dad, he used to drink so much, really, and he even tried to get me to drink sometimes when I met him when I was only 14, do you know what I mean? And I think, hang on,
It's not right.
It's not right, I don't blame him though,
Yeah.
I kind of blame why we got so much alcohol in the shops in the kind of way, why are they selling it so much, do you know what I mean? Well, why is it such a big business?
To be honest,
it's making everyone go crazy.
But to be honest, let's be really honest about it, alcohol is a big part of British culture and society, pub life.
Yeah, but it makes you unsociable as well, doesn't it? It makes you behave unsociable, do you know what I mean? Not all people.
Well, not all people, but I think if you consume too much, I think everything is like moderation.
But it's more likely the fight's going to happen.
There's people that would go home and have a nice dinner. A couple that might have a nice dinner at 5:30 and decide they want to go down to the pub after work after they have their dinner, and have a pint or two or a glass of wine or two. And they go home and they might be a little bit tipsy, you know what I mean? But they're absolutely still in control.
As long as it don't bother anyone, isn't it?
If you see what I mean. But the thing is that they're responsible with it. They're not consuming so much to the point that it's becoming detrimental to themselves or others.
That's right.
So
that's right.
It's being sensible,
I think if you're drinking too much and going to the pubs too much, you're not being responsible as a person to no one else in a funny way, do you know what I mean? And I think it's done a lot of damage to society. And like I say, we're talking about being unique today, and I don't think people are being so unique today because they're being destroyed by what's about and what's around.
Well, not only that, but we got a lot of cancel culture today as well too. So you got a lot of people that could really speak out and say a lot of shit about a lot of shit and speak a lot of truth, but a lot of times they refuse to, because they think that if they say the wrong thing or accidentally say the wrong thing, or go to say something that's very truthful and honest, but it gets misinterpreted the wrong way because they might have not communicated it the right way, or the communication might have got misinterpreted. Now you've got a huge group of people who were against this person and trying to get other people to get on their bandwagon to join them to be against this person, and are abusing them through social media platforms and also sometimes in real life. You know what I mean? When they see them on the streets. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think drink makes you think differently.
Well, yeah.
I think again, like we are talking about the car. If it didn't, if nobody invented it in the kind of way, and the TV wasn't invented, the drink wasn't invented.
Yeah.
How beautiful the world would be today, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? We'd live a completely different angle today. Do you know what I mean? I think people would get on more. People would be drinking tea rather than beers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being a bit more sensible in life. You think some of these politicians, all right, go back in time, Winston Churchill and all that, you know, he liked good whiskey and things, you know, and all this, you know, he was a bit of a drinker.
He liked cigars too, didn't he?
Well, yeah, that's right, you know.
Those big,
You know, it was alright to smoke and drink, you know, even my school teachers were having a smoke and, you know, whatever, and a drink sometimes.
In the staff room, yeah.
That's the truth, I can remember, you know,
Yeah.
you know, they did cut it out.
I believe it once upon a time, these people had so much money that they were able to convince these doctor people to tell people that cigarettes were beneficial for their health.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah,
Not now,
right.
obviously,
Yeah,
but like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
They were actually prescribing people cigarettes.
Well, when I was younger, it used to be advertised big time. You know, you used to have it on the billboards, Marlboro.
Yeah.
Right? And when I was 14, I could go in the shop and not get tobacco easy. There's no problem. And the shopkeepers wouldn't get done for it, nothing. You know what I mean? There's no laws in my, you know, and that's why I started smoking early in a funny way, you know. And drinking, I was, do you know what I mean, at an early age, to be honest with you, do you know what I mean? Because I had everyone drinking around me, all the adults, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was kind of like no laws in those days when I was younger, in a funny way, you know, but these laws have tightened up on, you know, in recent times.
It's slowly introduced.
Exactly, you know, they're getting tighter and tighter on it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's good, I think, you know, that they are, because, you know, when I was younger, like 50 years ago, honestly, people were just drinking madly, you know, quite a lot, in a funny way, you know. There was a knife license over the road, do you know what I mean? And it was sort of like everyone was drinking, that was it, you know, and playing cards. I don't think everyone was, but my family was, that's for sure. You know, and I was brought up with a family of, they were lovely. You know, my mum was drinking a little bit and whatever, and, you know, my dad was drinking really bad, you know. And my nan had a lovely drink, you know, but there was a lot more drinking those days, do you know what I mean? And I think they've squeezed down on it a bit, you know, and they're trying to squeeze down on smoking today as well, you know.
Yeah,
they don't advertise it, that's for sure, you know.
Well, you still get some companies that